All right, everybody, welcome aboard. Hello, Sid.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, Doug. All right, gentlemen, shall we begin? Excellent.
Go for it.
All righty. Well, hello and welcome everyone to AMS Weather Band's latest webinar, the collaboration between AMS Weather Band and local chapters with Doug Hildebrandt and Sid King. Of course, before we begin today, I would like to address some of the guidelines for our webinar. If you have questions during the webinar, please put them in the Q&A option on the bottom of your screen. Questions for speakers submitted through the chat will not be considered. So if you want your question looked at and addressed, the Q&A button is the way to go. And then we will have some specific time for questions from the audience after the presentation, but we also may answer questions during the presentation depending upon the flow of events. Now I would like to introduce today's presenters. So yes, once more, thank you, Sid and Doug, for joining us today. Folks, Doug Hildebrandt is a National Weather Service Preparedness and Resilience Program lead, responsible for leading several weather-related programs. He has over 20 years of experience in the National Weather Service with a background in communications, policy advising, and research and innovation. Doug has played a role in reducing lightning deaths and adding committees and drafting AMS statements during his time as an AMS commissioner. He holds a BA in geology from Bucknell University, a master's in geology from University of South Florida, a master's in meteorology from North Carolina State University. And Sid King is a lead meteorologist at the National Weather Service with experience in providing forecast, warning, and decision support services for the Atlanta Forecast Office since 2016. He is also the chair of the AMS Local Chapter Affairs Committee and an active member of the Metro Atlanta AMS/NWA chapter. Sid earned a BS in meteorology from the University of South Alabama and an MS in meteorology from Florida State University. He's passionate about helping others in the weather community and engaging with the public through outreach and education. So with that being said, Sid and Doug, the floor is yours.
Hey, thank you so much for the introduction, Gideon. Excited to get started today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Of course, the screen sharing option is covering the slide show beginning, so go ahead and move that. All right, just want to verify real quick that you can see the presentation.
Yep.
Looks good, Sid.
Excellent. Thank you guys so much. All right, so thanks again for joining us today. I'm going to start out a little bit by talking about some local chapter information and resources and introducing a little bit what the Local Chapter Affairs Committee does for local chapters. So to begin, the AMS mission is to advance the atmospheric and related sciences, technologies, applications, and services for the benefit of society. As far as the Local Chapter Affairs Committee is concerned, we have 3 initiatives for the remainder of 2023. The first is advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion. So increasing DEI within AMS and the LCAC to facilitate these discussions. The second is chapter regions, which is increasing awareness of chapter regions and then improving communication and collaboration between our regional representatives and their chapters. And then finally, social media, which is fostering creative ideas and feedback within our organization, and then using that to further our central mission of inspiring and empowering members to better connect. and engage their communities. So with respect to our committee, our focus is to promote and foster AMS local chapters. So our committee is comprised of the diversity in the American Meteorological Society, both with our people and with the sectors in which we work. And we seek to ways to empower members and leaders in the local chapters so they can connect with and engage their communities. So we have a lot of different duties that we use to fulfill these goals, which includes supporting local chapters, serving as liaisons between the local chapters and the national AMS. We review and vote on Chapter of the Year nominations and the posters that chapters create for the annual AMS meeting. We maintain and plan activities and discussions on our social media pages, and we meet several times a year to discuss local business for all the 3 initiative areas I talked about above. We also discuss updates from local chapters and the national AMS, and then promote local chapter postings in the local chapter affairs newsletter. And finally, we regularly share resources with local chapters and do what we need to do to ensure that they stay active and have the resources they need to thrive, especially considering in the post-COVID area as things are going back in person once again. So our committee has 9 members that serve 3-year terms. We just selected 3 new members. We're actually waiting for confirmation on 2 of them. So they're so new that our 2023 members are not yet pictured on the left. We also select a chair and a co-chair every year. Tyler Stanfield on the bottom left is our chair-elect this year, and he's going to take over as chair in 2024. And we have people that work in the private sector for the federal government, or that are in academia, and we strive for representation across the field of meteorology to get a completeness of perspective. And of course, each member in this chapter serves as a regional liaison, and we'll have a section shortly in this presentation where we'll kind of show where those chapter regions are. Of course, you can follow us on social media, whether it be our Facebook pages, Twitter, and then we have a relatively new Instagram page as well. So we want to disseminate routine updates, information, and resources from the national chapter, promote all your local chapter activities and accomplishments, and then finally foster creative ideas for the AMS community at large. Of course, 4 times a year, there's a local chapters affairs newsletter. We like to highlight everything you guys are doing, and you can always submit these to Beth Farley at the email address listed. And you can include a photo and up to 250 words for the write-up, just to share the latest news and the exciting things your chapters are doing. We have a local chapter resources link as well. This is a long link, so of course there's nothing to stop you from taking a screenshot of this as well, or copying it in any other way you can. And you can use this for other resources our committee provides, such as outreach, fundraising, and event ideas, volunteer opportunities, web support, social media examples and best practices, and so many more things. And of course, you can also feel free to reach out to us, and if you just look up AMS LCAC, you can find the email address for our committee, and any one of us can get back to you in short order. So shifting gears, what we'll get into now is sort of talking about joining the national chapter and then getting into local chapters. So this link here is fairly straightforward. There's The image below is just the what you'll see when you follow the link, which is just to join the AMS at the top of the page. There are many benefits for doing so, which is being part of a dynamic scientific network, learning from other professionals or other enthusiasts or students to increase your knowledge and expertise, and then make an impact on your profession and your society. So if you go to the homepage at ametsoc.org/AMS, you can go to this Get Involved tab, which is located at the bottom of the page. When I was getting involved with the national chapter, I found this to be a great roadmap to get started, because there's so many different things that you can do just from this dashboard here. And also, you can get involved with a local chapter and then use that to engage with the national chapter as well. So this is the AMS Community Forum, which is also linked at the community page of the AMS, which is linked here. This is open for all national AMS members and is a message board on a wide variety of weather topics. This involves the latest discussion on research, operations, news, and etc. So this is a thing that I check a couple of times a week rather, just to see the latest discussion. There's always interesting things being talked about here, and sometimes interesting news about some of the things local chapters are doing as well. So one resource that we provide on the National AMS page and as the Local Chapter Affairs Committee is the Local Chapter Directory, which is a comprehensive list of all local AMS chapters across the United States. This local chapter directory is listed by state and territory, and then contains the contact info, officers, and links for every chapter. So you can go to this link here, and there's also a link on the page for updating your chapter's information. We ask that officers within a local chapter update their latest information after elections. Generally, we know some regular chapters will do it by calendar year, but at the latest, we ask for these to be done by June 1st, as this is when most chapters have completed elections for the year. So as I mentioned earlier, here's what some of our region maps may look like. And as I mentioned, we have 9 regions across the area, for example, with Region 1 covering a lot of the far western United States, all the way to Region 9, which is the northeastern United States and the New England area. And we're going to have this map on the and the next map on the local chapter directory page, so people can find nearby chapters to get involved with. One thing you can do is you can find your region, and then you'll actually be able to go to this map where it breaks out each individual region and then lists the specific chapters that are going to be located in those areas. So if you're looking to get involved in a local chapter, you can find which one is nearest to you, and then be able to reach out to that chapter with the contact information provided. So this is a good way to get started as well. And this chapter contains student chapters, local chapters, and even pre-college chapters that you'll be able to get involved with. One plug that I wanted to put in is that our committee also does Chapter of the Year Award. We do this to acknowledge the hard work and activities of local chapters. And we ask that people that are interested in nominating their chapter do so by May 1st in 2023. There's 3 essay questions that need to be completed. The president or the faculty sponsor of the chapter must be a member of the National Society, and the nominations must be completed by an officer or member of the chapter. And I'm going to use this also as an opportunity to say that many of the chapters that win Chapter of the Year or are runners up and receive a chapter honor roll do excellent work in not only engaging with the community, but also including weather enthusiasts among their ranks. So people that are either not students and not professionals, but people that are still nonetheless interested in weather, be they younger students in middle school and high school, people as part of observer networks that or people that don't have a meteorology degree but are still active in things like storm spotter networks and co-op programs and things like that. So there's a way for these folks to get involved with the national chapter as well, which is Weatherband. And as I mentioned, you don't have to be a professional meteorologist or a meteorology student to be part of the AMS. So the cool thing about Weatherband is it's a global community of weather enthusiasts that's affiliated with the AMS. And there's this image on the left-hand side of the screen. There's a lot of benefits of what you can get for joining the Weatherband. And I'm going to hand it over to Doug. If there's anything, I'm going to so he can talk a little further on this.
Sure, Sid. Thanks for teeing that up. And I'm going to share my screen. And the way, let's see here. Here we go. Tell me when you're able to see just the slide. Are we good?
Looks good, Doug.
Looks
All right,
good.
thanks. Thank you. So I'm going to sort of go quickly through some background on being a Weather Ready Nation ambassador, tying it to the Weatherband and tying it to the local and student chapters. And then I'll slow down toward the end of the slides where we really look at opportunities for all of you to work together and work with us and reach out into your communities to really promote weather safety and building this weather ready nation that we've been working so hard over the last decade on. So just things you may or may not know, but as we go through time, both fatalities and economic losses, they have been increasing from the past several decades. And, individual years may be less or greater than other years, but the trend, especially, peaking there at the end of the, 28 to 2010, and then of course 2011 was quite a historical year. But we've got this sort of national resilience sort of call to action that communities across the country really need to be paying attention, preparing in advance, knowing what to do when a hazard threatens their area, and then be in a better position to recover, right? So we've had this Weather Ready Nation strategic imperative, really, or strategic outcome in NOAA since 2011 as a response to all of the extreme weather events back a decade ago. And the fundamental parts of Weather Ready Nation, obviously improving the forecasts and warnings, the meteorology, the physical science of things, but also carrying that forward to something that's actionable to everyone. And working on consistency, working on that decision. So whether it's this term impact-based decision support services or better communication, social science, bringing in what are all the other factors that are in place when somebody makes a decision. Those are all very important to ensure that the accurate forecast leading up to the event results in a good outcome after the event. And then down below, teeing up our ambassador program, we know that Weather Aid Nation, isn't just about government, but that we need organizations of all kinds. And so why is Weather Aid Nation important? Gideon mentioned, the trends on lightning deaths. In 2016, the communications director of the National Weather Service, came to me and our communications team and said, we've got to do more in reaching out on lightning and the dangers. And so look at 2016 there, ended up with a peak of 40 lightning deaths that year. But as sort of the second half of 2016 and then moving forward, working with great organizations like the National Lightning Safety Council, we've been able to consistently, and I'm more impressed with the fact that 2017 to 2022, you really see a consistent drop, doesn't go up and down as much as it did in previous years. But then look at 2021 with only 11 deaths. Yes, it jumped up this past year, but certainly everything is moving in the right direction. And then here's another example with pediatric heat stroke deaths. You may be thinking 2020, 2021, obviously pandemic years, and that may have impacted the way that people behaved, whether it was for dropping off kids at daycare, that type of situation. But what was nice in 2022, as communities were getting sort of back to a new normal, there wasn't that big jump back up into the 40s and 50s. But even with one already early in the season here in 2023, any pediatric fatality due to hot vehicles is too many. And so before we again dive in, I do want to highlight, this term of equitable services. And, within the National Weather Service, we're really trying to not just build a weather ready nation, but a weather ready nation for all, that everybody is included in this effort and that we address vulnerabilities and the underserved communities across the country in ways that are working for them. So as I mentioned, government can't do it all. And I know there's a lot of text on this slide. It's sort of the meat and potatoes of the ambassador program, but we encourage organizations of any kind to consider becoming an ambassador, working with NOAA, working with other ambassadors, working with AMS, working with the weather band to, save lives. This directly meets our mission of saving lives and property, and being able to recognize organizations that share that value of preparedness, of resiliency, and engaging others, not only serving as an example themselves, but really encouraging others to do the same. And people ask, well, why become an ambassador? Here you go, 4 awesome reasons. And the image down there is actually the West Central Florida chapter of AMS there. A great picture with the skyline and the clouds there. But whether you are an individual, whether you work for an organization, or whether you are a part of an AMS local or student chapter, the ambassador program is really perfectly set up for engaging others, diving into the community, galvanizing your members. And my job, sort of my day job, is to really develop and grow these opportunities to engage. And so we, every 3 months or every start of each season, the National Weather Service rolls out its safety campaign. We just rolled out March 1st on spring safety. So it's ongoing, and we create new infographics and social media content and all these toolkits that you can take hold of, share it with others, talk about it. This season, it's a little bit different. We are profiling or sort of stressing the dangers of heat. You think spring, A lot of places still have hundreds of inches of snow on the ground out west. Why are we talking about heat? And extreme heat and the impacts of heat aren't just confined to summer. They're not just confined to when it's really hot outside, but it really goes to, athletes and people who are vulnerable to overheating and those impacts. That's what we're targeting this year. We've got a Safe Place Selfie Day coming up in 3 weeks. This is my absolute favorite day. I almost call it our weather preparedness holiday, if there is one. We encourage everybody to pick a hazard, pick a location that you spend your time in, and identify your safe place for any kind of hazard. So yes, it could be a tornado and going down into the basement, or a safe room, but it could also be lightning, where your vehicle is a safe place for lightning, but it's not a safe place for flooding and for severe weather like tornadoes. To, rip currents and beach safety, to the great outdoors and being safe when you go hiking. And unfortunately, just heard last night in our ops report, two hikers were killed by meltwater in Utah. And so these things happen, and they really make you want to look at, okay, what I would say, what is the number one preparedness action anybody can take? It's, where are you going to be when danger presents itself? And so we have Safe Place Selfie Day. You can take a look at all of our social media, and once you take your selfie, post it, share it, encourage others. We also have Hurricane Prep Week, a Heat Safety Week. Again, every meter, or the start of climatological season, we issue our campaigns. So June 1st will be summer, and then we'll continue. This will be our second summer of the Great Outdoors outreach, where again, when you step out away from, say, cell towers into, big elevation changes where the weather changes very quickly, you need to take a little bit more preparedness than just normal. And then I came up with 5 or so opportunities for local and student chapters. But again, that sort of last bullet, what other opportunities are there? It is limited only by your imagination. That's really the power of the Weather Ready Nation Ambassador Program. It is highly flexible, and it can incorporate lots of innovation. So reach out into your community. You can lead an outreach event. You can also partner with other local organizations like your Office of Emergency Management, and certainly one of the 122 National Weather Service forecast offices. You can have chapter discussions on weather safety. You can bring in an expert, or you can have a virtual expert come and talk to your members. You can serve as force multipliers by engaging across social networks, encouraging other organizations to become ambassadors, and really, highlight other opportunities. Certainly, NOAA doesn't have everything, but we do have some great opportunities in citizen science, like being a Skywarn spotter, or our MPing app, or being a co-op observer, where we've had a weather band webinar in the past. So lots of opportunities for individuals from a crowdsourcing and citizen science perspective. And then leverage the weather band for sort of book club discussions. When you become a weather band member, you have access to all of the recorded content. There's such a great diversity of topics over the years now that the weather band has been providing these webinars. And so you can pick a webinar, have your chapter members watch it, and then you can have a discussion on it. Another great opportunity. So with that, simply, we need you, and we're here to really maximize those opportunities and fit in where it works for you. So with that, I will stop sharing.
All right. Thank you, Doug. I can take back over at this point and want to see if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Looks good.
Perfect. So, and this is where a lot of this information ties together with Weatherband. Is that's one of the most important things that not only that we can do as an AMS, but also as professionals that are dedicated to the protection of life and property with severe weather, is getting people involved with things like Weatherband, so they have access to this information, because sometimes as meteorologists and as weather professionals, we talk about things at a level that are so advanced and that are and we're used to talking to other scientists, that it's important. It's also important for us to break down that information, get it out to the public, and be able to share it with everyone in the community. And that's the important thing to emphasize, is everybody. And so there are ways also to get more people in the general public, people that may be enthusiasts, but may not be weather professionals or meteorology students involved with chapters, and then make some of that safety information, that weather awareness, and that weather and the principles of the weather ready nation available and easily digestible for them. So that's a big goal of the AMS in the coming years. A lot of good progress has been made, and we're gonna continue to work towards that. And so that leads to my next point, is you can not only can people be added, Weatherband members be added to chapters, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but you can also get them together, get folks together to start or reactivate a local chapter. So really, any group of at least 5 members of the society can form a local chapter, can petition the AMS Council. And the petition should include everything listed below, which is the statement about the purpose of the organization, a tentative plan for the type of organization the chapter will have, how often you plan to have meetings, and expected meeting locations. And also, don't be afraid to take advantage of virtual options as well, especially if you're a regular chapter. You may not have a physical location where you can regularly meet, but that shouldn't deter you. You can still take advantage of your virtual options at times to start these discussions and these dialogues and these educational opportunities. You should also provide an estimate of your potential membership, especially if you're in the process of recruiting people to join the chapter. And then finally, the geographic area that the chapter will serve. So usually this will be a city. With some of our pre-college chapters, this can be a school or a group of schools, or it could even be like groups of students within a metropolitan area. So the petition that you fill out, and on the chapter resources that I mentioned earlier, there are sample petitions that you can fill out as well. And that can either be sent to the local chapter contact at the AMS headquarters in Boston. These days, most people generally do it digitally at chappetitions@amatsoc.org. So recently, we've had some pre-college chapters that have begun to petition to become actual chapters. We actually have 8 of these that are active now, which has been fantastic to see them getting on board as well, because many of these members are also Weatherband members. Many of these are middle and high school students that are finding ways to get involved with the weather community, learn more about meteorology, and build valuable connections for the future. This is something that's not only educating them on weather basics, but it's also allowing them to explore the field a bit more before they get to college, so they can discover if this is something that they want to do. And then they're getting information that they're learning from these, and they're passing it along and helping educate members of their family and their friends. And it's been incredible to watch. It's been very eye-opening to see these chapters at work. And these chapters, like I said, they've been growing in numbers. Here's I want to give a quick shout out to the Greater New Jersey, New York City, and Philadelphia chapter, which was actually named as one of the chapter honor rolls in 2021. And I believe that was our first time in a long time that a pre-college chapter was among our awardees. So the growth has really been fantastic in recent years, and has really come a long way to making critical life-saving information accessible to all. There's also some additional rules for starting a pre-college chapter. So once again, any group that has at least 5 students that wants to form a pre-college chapter can petition that council for authorization. In addition to the signatures of the 5 students, they do need an adult supervisor, usually or a teacher, and that signing adult must be an AMS member that's willing, or someone that's willing to join the society. And this is necessary for the chapter to receive important AMS materials, and is also helping because with as quickly as students move through school, get out of high school and into college, it helps to have a steady person in an advisor type of role to keep that consistency going with the chapter. And then finally, each pre-college chapter must have the participating adult advisor. They could be a teacher, librarian, school principal, even a scout leader, etc. But the big thing is for that person to be a member of the National AMS chapter. So we've been seeing an increase also of weather band members in local chapters, and some basic ways that can be done. In the Atlanta chapter, for example, we've regularly allowed weather enthusiasts, observers, and even pre-college students to join in on our activities and our meetings. So regular chapters, this can be easily done, especially because it's community wide, and a lot of our events are treated as an open invite for people. Like if you're enthusiastic about weather and you want to learn more about what students and professionals are doing, then feel free to stop by. Student chapters can also allow non-majors into their organization. It's a little bit of a personal story. This is how I got my start, not only in AMS, but into the field of meteorology itself. When I started college, I was actually I was majoring in business. I didn't even know that meteorology was a thing that you could study. So I was in basketball pep band, and I happened to be standing next to the president of the local AMS chapter, and we got talking about weather. That was something I wanted to do as a kid, and he invited me to join the chapter as a business major, and that was kind of where I learned not only more basics about weather, but really what career opportunities really out there. So I switched my major at the end of that semester. So with being open to having non-majors in the organization, that can really open doors for people that they didn't know were there for them. And I think that's also big to sometimes people, they haven't had the connection or the access to to know about weather careers or be able to explore that interest. So that's a fantastic way to really get people involved in weather that may not have otherwise had an exposure to it. And then finally, with pre-college chapters, it's always a good idea with pre-college chapters, middle school and high school students as well. I think having them be involved in the weather band program will help supplement their experience. And that's something we would definitely encourage, is have these members also be part of weather bands so they can get themselves more involved with the discussions that happen in the national AMS. And then also have access to this information, whether it be critical life-saving information through the Weather Ready Nation ambassadors, or just even career opportunities, or just discussions on the latest in science, and more connections with weather professionals. So there are many different ways that especially middle school and high school students that are just beginning to explore what they want to do with their career and their interests. It's really helpful for them to engage with weather bands. So, and that kind of ties things back with the Weather Ready Nation Ambassador Program, which that's intended for organizations to serve the public by strengthening our national resilience. And that goes down to a person by person level in the general public. And the more people that we are able to reach by including people in these organizations, like student chapters, like regular chapters, like pre-college chapters, these are all more people that can help educate and build connections with the community. And the process, of course, as Doug mentioned, is ongoing, but by having people involved in local chapters that are Weather Ready Nation ambassadors, we can continue to spread critical life-saving information to the public. And of course, there's just also sum up what Doug said. Any organization across like all levels of government, businesses, large and small, nonprofits and non-government organizations, academia, and even AMS local chapters can all become a Weather Ready Nation ambassador. So organizations wanting to do so can apply at this link as well, just at the bottom of this slide. So that also brings where sharing and educating people on critical life-saving information can tie in with AMS local chapters, and then also having enthusiasts and people with an interest in weather getting involved with weather bands. And I'll stop sharing here real quick.
You should be on there, Sid. Yep.
Yes, all good. So that is, going to get a little water real quick. Of course, that is all I have from my side of things as far as local chapters is concerned. But that's, like I mentioned, one of the biggest things that we can do as a local chapter affairs committee is facilitate the ways that we can reach a diverse community.
So now looks like a great time, Sid, for any questions.
Yes, absolutely.
Don't be shy.
Yep. If you have anything, just feel free to type it in the Q&A answer box, and we'll be happy to do our best to answer any questions you have.
Well, I've learned a lot, Sid, on the local and student chapters. I know I've attended over the years a few here in Northern Virginia, but you know, there are just a lot of great opportunities that, you know, it just takes a little bit of leadership and momentum, and you can create some great things here. And instead of, you know, what I like is that, you know, when you join a chapter, you can speak toward certain things as the chapter, right? There's a trust with that name. So it's just not you as an individual. I see some
Yeah, there they are.
2 questions there. So good question, Bruce. The question is, can an individual participate in Weather Nation? The answer is yes, from Weather Nation broadly. As far as ambassadors, we do only target organizations. And so if you're really looking to be an ambassador, think about, you know, organizations that you could sort of represent. It could be a house of worship. It could be as a volunteer organization. It could be a you know, your local school. If you have children, you can try to galvanize some interest at the school level. But, you know, try to be creative on the organization side. On the individual side, the best, I think the most direct way that you can contribute is to explore becoming a Skywarn spotter, helping out your local forecast office on various weather hazards. You know, go beyond tornado. If you don't live in an area where there are where tornadoes are common, you can still be a Skywarn spotter. There are a lot of other hazards that that are found in you know, places across the country. And then the second question is kind of similar. You know, reach out to, you know, explore more. If you're kind of new to all of this, whether it's on the Weather Aid Nation side or the local and student chapters, don't hesitate to ask, you know, sort of basic questions, how long they meet or where are they located, that type of thing. Get to know your local chapter. If there's not a local chapter, reach out to Sid. Maybe you could be that founding member. But there are so many ways to get involved.
And to piggyback on what Doug was saying, joining a local chapter can open up a whole new world for you on what you can do as an individual. So while you may not be able to be, like, while an organization can be a weather ready nation ambassador, you can be the person that starts that thing for the organization, and it can for any organization. So if by joining a local chapter and you notice they're not a weather ready nation ambassador, then you can work with them and be the person to the straw that stirs that drink, to be the person to get that, to get all those components working together. And in doing this, I've done some work with Weather Ready Nation at my local forecast office, but I've learned so much from just listening to Doug on this topic as well, because there's so much on the back end that goes into putting this together, and it really is a lot of fantastic safety information that goes out to the public.
All right, well, Sid, thank you, and you know, it's been a great conversation. I always measure conversations with how fast the hour goes. So if there aren't any more questions, sort of Gideon, we're pleased to hand it back to you.
Oh,
Just
hang
got
on.
one more pop
Got
in.
one more pop
Oh,
up. Yeah.
excellent. I figure, if I fill up a little bit of time there, that maybe we can get one more in.
Yes, he was
Yes.
asking if we can resend the Weather Ready Nation application link.
Absolutely. And the best part about that, it is here. Where can I send that in?
We might be able to put it in the chat for everybody.
I think chat for everybody would work.
All right, there you go. Well, there's that, and I'll add it to the chat. The best part about it, it takes 5, if you really want to put in a lot of detail, 10 minutes to, send in your application, send in your submission. The foundation of it is your contact information. It's a relationship between that organization and NOAA, but it obviously takes people, and so that contact information is critical when you make that submission. And again, the power of the ambassador program is really the infinite number of ways that an organization can help build a weather ready nation. It is not prescriptive, where we have very specific, you need to participate in this, and this. It is a front door opening to greater engagement.
That's a very good point. So many times in the weather community and in meteorology, there's a focus on science, and in the last 10, 20 years, we've realized the importance of connections during that time as well. And using local chapters and through Weatherband is a way to build those connections, and a way to leverage those connections in ways that will educate the public on the best safety information.
Definitely. All right, Gideon, passing it off to you.
All righty.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Sid and Doug. Thank you for everything. Ladies and gentlemen, let me put something else in the chat here too. We'd like for you, our attendees, to consider joining our AMS webinars mailing list to hear about all of our upcoming webinars. So there it is on the chat. And while we're on that topic, I just want to say, if you have further questions or you want to talk about the webinar, members are welcome to discuss on the Weatherband community forum as well. All webinars will be available to other band members at amsweatherband.org also. So you'll find this in probably a couple of days. We'll get it all configured and put up there. You'll also find a bunch of webinars, including the ones from the Jamposium that we just had posted up there too. But yes, that being said, thank you all for joining us today. Be sure to join us next week for Superstorm 1950, the greatest simultaneous blizzard, ice storm, windstorm, and cold outbreak of the 20th century, with author David Call at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Go ahead and check our website and your email for more information. We'll put that out there. But yes, otherwise, I just want to say once more, thank you to Sid and thank you to Doug for being with us today. And yes, have a great rest of your day, gentlemen. And attendees, thank you so much. And we'll see you at the next AMS Weatherband webinar. Goodbye.
Thanks so much, Gideon and Doug. It was great talking to you guys today. And it was we had a great crowd, and that was awesome to see. Before I left, I just left a quick email if anyone wants to reach out to the LCAC as well. Thanks so much to you both.
Excellent.
Very
Thank you.
cool.
Take care, everybody.
And Sid, this will be, recirculated as well. So the recording is of value, the gift that keeps giving. So
Absolutely. Excited about that.
Yep. All right. Thank you both.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Appreciate it. Yep,
Goodbye.